Okay, so here we have to find the greatest common factor. Okay, so so what does it mean by writing a polynomial in a factor form? What does it mean? So writing in or factorization means we are rewriting that given polynomial in a product form. Okay, for example, let's say we have a polynomial x cube. What kind of polynomial is this? What is the type? Monomial, binomial, trinomial? X cube. It is a monomial, right? We have a one term, so this is a monomial. And if you are asked to factorize this monomial or polynomial, we are rewriting this x cube in a product form. Now, how can we rewrite x cube in a product form? X cube is x times x times x. Okay, so x times x times x is the factors for x cube. So we are rewriting the polynomial in a product form. Okay, in a similar way, so we can have a number. So let's say we have a number 24. Now how can we write down the 24 in a product form? So what is 24 equals to in a product form? 6 times 4, or if we want a prime number, we can write 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Okay, so these are the factors. So we are always rewriting in a factor form if you are asked to find the factors. Okay, now so here, before we go to the example, so let me give you a general method of factorization. Okay, so the very first step of factorization, so we always look for the common factor in each term. Okay, so finding the common factor, so at first we find common factor. So we find common factor from each term. So this is the first step. Okay, if you are asked to factorize, then try to find the common factor. Try to find the factor which is common for each term. Okay, now once you find the common factor, the second step is it depends on how many terms we are given. So if we have two terms, so let's talk about the terms for the monomials. Okay, so if we have our two terms, there will be there might be the difference of two square term. Okay, so we'll have an example. Okay, but these are the general methods. So at first, find the common factor from each term. Second step, now you have to count how many terms you are given. If you are given two terms, then your two terms can be difference of square, and if your two terms is a difference of square, the factors are the sum of these two number a plus b and the difference of these two number a minus b. We use this rule, okay, if we are given the difference of square. Okay, difference of square. Now the next type of two terms can be, your two terms can be sum of cube terms. So if you have a sum of cube terms, the factors would be, so we'll do an example. Okay, do not worry here. So if we have a sum of cube terms, the factors would be a plus b, a square minus ab plus b square. Okay, write down this now, but we'll do an example. Okay, do not worry. The next type of two terms can be difference of cube terms. So it might be difference of cube terms, and if you have a difference of cube terms, the factors will be a minus b, then we have a square plus ab plus b square. So these are the three different cases you will see. Okay, if you are asked to factorize and if you are given 2 terms. So these are the 3 different types of factorization. The next case, now if you have 3 terms, okay, so instead of 2 terms, if you are given 3 terms, okay, so if it's 3 terms, your 3 terms might looks like this: x square plus bx plus c. Now, have you seen this type of polynomial, x square plus bx plus c? What do we call? This is a trinomial, right? So we have a 3 term. This is a trinomial. Have you seen, okay, or have you seen ax square plus bx plus c, this kind of trinomial? Have you heard quadratic form? So these two are quadratic form, okay? Now if your trinomial is quadratic form and you are asked to factorize, then the quadratic form, if the coefficient of square term is 1, we use FOIL method, okay? So we will use FOIL method. And if you have the quadratic form with the coefficient other than 1, we use AC method, okay? We will do an example. So this is the case if we have 3 terms. Now the next, if we have 4 terms or more, then we make a pair, okay? We make a pair and we go back to step 2, okay? So if we are given with the 4 terms, we make a pair of 2 terms, okay? Then we use steps 2. So these are the general methods. Now let's take an example. So let's take an example. For example, we have 2x to the power square minus 8. So at first, what kind of polynomial is this? Binomial. We have 2 terms and we are asked to factorize here. Now what is the first step of factorization? Now let's go back. The very first step of factorization is finding the common factor from each term. So we have 2 terms, 2x square and 8. Do we have any common factor in these 2 terms? 2, okay. Now how do we know that? So if you are not sure whether it has a common factor or not, what you can do, you can rewrite each term in a factor form. So we have 2 as it is. We can rewrite x square as a x times x, right? Negative. And we can rewrite 8 as a 2 times 2 times 2. Now do you see a common factor? So in first term and in second term, so what factor is common? 2 is common, right? So if you have a common factor, we factor out that common factor. So let's factor out, let's write down that common factor outside parenthesis. Now we write down the remaining factors. So x times x, we have x square negative, so 2 times 2 is 4. So first step, you find the common factor from each term, okay? You can skip that this step, okay? You can skip this one. But whenever you are asked to factorize, you have to find the common factor. If you have to look for a common factor. Now, once you have common factor, do we have a 2 terms, 3 terms or 4 terms here in our case? How many terms we have? 2 terms, right? Now, if we have our 2 terms, we have the 3 different cases. Is your 2 terms difference of square term or sum of cube terms or difference of cube terms? Which one is it? Is it a, so we have these 2 terms, okay? So here we have these 2 terms. Now, can we rewrite these 2 terms as a difference of 2 square term or difference of cube terms or sum of cube terms? Is there any way we could write the difference of square term? Okay, now here we have a negative sign. So it has to be difference, right? And we have x square. So we have x square. So we have this first term in a square form. Now, is there any way we could rewrite 4 as a square? Square of what number is 4? 2, right? So we can rewrite this as a, so we have x square as it is, and we can rewrite 4 as a 2 square. Now we have difference of 2 square term, and if we have a difference of 2 square term, this will be the factors. Okay, so sum of those two terms and difference of those two terms. So this is 2 times. Now forget this square. So sum of x and 2, x plus 2 times difference of x and 2, x minus 2. And these three are the factor of the given polynomial. Any question? Okay, now let's go back to our example. Okay, can I go to the next example? Okay, so here, so now let's do number 1. Okay, so here we are asked to find the greatest common factor from each of the following. So we have to factorize, we have to find the common factor. Okay, now at first, how many terms do we have? 3, right? We have 3x to the power 4, 9x cubed plus 18x squared. So the very first step of factorization is looking for a common factor in each term. Now, what is the common factor in each term? Do you all see 3x squared as a common factor? Now, if you can't see, what we can do is that we can rewrite each term in a factor form. Okay, so let's write down each term in a factor form. So we have 3x to the power 4, that is 3 times x times x times x times x. Okay, now we have 9x cubed. How can we rewrite 9 in a factor form? 9 is 3 times 3, x cubed is x times x times x, plus we have 18x squared. And how can we rewrite 18 in a factor form? 18 is 2 times 3 times 3, right? So 18 is 2 times 3 times 3, x squared is x times x. Now we look for the common factor. So in each term, 3 is common. Do you all see 3 is common, right? So, and x is also common, x is also common, and we have one more x common. So we have one more x common. So 3x times x, which is 3x squared, is the common factor. So let's factor out. So we have 3x times x squared as a common factor. Now inside the parentheses, you will write the remaining factors. So x times x, that is x squared, plus 3 times x, that is 3x, plus 2 times 3, 6. Yeah, no x. So 3x squared is the greatest common factor in each term. And if you can see 3x squared without step first, you can do that. Okay, you can always skip step first. Okay, now let's go to the number B. Okay, what will be the common factor in each term? Do we have any common factor? Okay, -2. Any other? Now, if you have a negative, if your first term is negative, you can also factor out negative. Okay, it will be easier for us to factorize more. So now let's write each term in a factor form. How can we rewrite -8 in a product form? -8 is -2 times, you can just do +2 times +2, right? Or you can do -2 times -2 times -2, still same. And y square is y times y. Now we have -6y. And how can we rewrite -6y in a factor form? -6y is -2 times 3 times y Now we have positive 4. How can we rewrite positive 4 in a product form? How can we rewrite positive 4 in a product form? 2 times 2. Is that the only way to rewrite 4 in a product form? 4 1 times 4. Okay. Is there any other way? What about negative 2 times negative 2? Is that positive 4? Now why we want that negative 2 times negative 2? Now the reason I want positive 4 to be negative 2 times negative 2, the reason here is that now in each term there is a negative 2, right? And we can factor out negative 2. So negative 2 is a common factor. So let's factor out negative 2. Now what is remain? So 2 times 2 y times y. So that is 4y square. 4y square. So here we factor out negative 2. So 3 times y. So positive 3y and negative 2. So this is the common factor. Okay, any question? Okay, the next here we have to factorize the trinomial. Okay, we have 3 terms here, and what is the very first step of factorization? We look for the common factor in each term. Now, do we have common factor in each term other than positive 1 or negative 1? We do not have, right? So we can skip our first step. So we can skip first step. Now let's go to the next term. So we have 3 terms. Okay, so we have 3 terms in our case, and in 3 terms, are we using FOIL or AC method? Now let's see. Is the coefficient of each square term equals to 1? So what is the coefficient of each square term? So this is our square term. Okay, the term with x power 2 is a square term, and what is its coefficient? What is the coefficient of x square? If it's nothing, it's always 1, right? Coefficient is a number in front of variable. And if this is the case, if your trinomial has a coefficient of a square term equals to 1, then we use a FOIL method. So we use a FOIL method here. Okay, and from this method, we will have a 2 factor. Okay, so we need to find the 2 factor. So now next, let's find the first term whose product is x squared. Can you think of 2 terms whose product is x squared? X and x, right? So our first term is x, x. So x times x is x squared. Now, the next we have to find 2 numbers. We have to find 2 numbers. Let me write down p and q right now. We don't know what are those p and q. Now we need to find 2 numbers p and q whose product has to be the constant -8, and the sum of these 2 numbers has to be equals to coefficient of x, which is -2. Now think of 2 number whose product is -8 and sum of those 2 number is -2. -4 and +2. So -4 times +2 is -8. -4 plus 2 is -2. So our P and Q are -4 and +2. Bless you. So this is a factor for this trinomial. If you have a trinomial in a quadratic form with the coefficient of a square term equals to 1, we use FOIL method. Okay, and you find the first term, okay, whose product is this is x squared, and the next we have to find the 2 number whose product is constant, and the sum of those 2 number has to be coefficient of square. Okay, so this is how we use the FOIL method. Now let's go to the number b. So this is the final answer. Okay, x minus 4 times x plus 2. So here, so we have 8x cube, negative 10x square, negative 12x. We are asked to factorize. What is the first step of factorization? Finding the common factor from each term. Now, do you see a common factor in each term?
2x.
What is that common factor? 2x. Do you all see that 2x as a common factor? Okay, so let's factor out 2x. Once you factor out 2x from 8x cube, what is left? How do we know what is left? So you divide 8x cube by 2x. So what is 8x cube divided by 2x equals to? 4x square, right? Okay. In the similar way, you divide negative 10x square by your common factor 2x. And negative 10x square divided by positive 2x is negative 5x. In the similar way, you divide negative 12x by your common factor 2x. And what is that equals to? Negative 6. So first step is done. We find the common factor from each term. Now the second step, how many terms do we have inside the parenthesis? We have 3 terms. We have a trinomial. And if it's a trinomial, now we have 2 options using FOIL or AC method. Okay, we use FOIL if the coefficient of a square term is 1. We use AC method if the coefficient of a square term is not 1. Now in our case, what is the coefficient of a square term? 4, right? So here, so what number do we have in front of x square? We have 4. And if a coefficient of a square term is not 1, we use a AC method. Okay, and okay, now from this method, so we use AC method. Okay, so this is our A. The coefficient of a square term is always A. Okay, the constant, this is our C, and the coefficient of x, we use B to denote coefficient of x. Okay, so coefficient of x square is always A, constant is always C, and the coefficient of x is always B. Okay, now in the AC method, we multiply A and C. So our A is 4, so we multiply A and C. Our A is 4, C is 6. You can ignore sign, okay? 4 times 6 is 24. In the AC method, you multiply A and C. That is our first step. The next step is we write down every pair of factors of 24. Okay, so we have to make a pair of a number. Okay, which are the factor of 24. So let's start from 1. So 1 divided by 24 is 24, right? So 1 and 24, this is one pair of factor. When we multiply these two numbers, we get 24. Now what will be the next pair of factors whose product is 24? 2 and 12. Okay, so next pair is 2 and 12. What is the next pair of factor of 24 whose product is 24? 3 and 8. 3 times 8 is 24. The next 4 times 6. Do we have any more pair of factors? So make sure to list every pair of factors. Okay. Now once you have this, we will pick one pair of factors. Okay. Out of these 4 pair of factors, we pick one pair of factor and use it to rewrite our middle term negative 5x. Now which number do we pick? 1 24 or 2 12 3 8 4 6 to rewrite negative 5x. And when you rewrite, you are allowed to add or subtract this number. Okay, for example, let me take 1 and 24. So 1 plus 24 is 25, right? 1 minus 24 is 23. But what we want a negative 5 using this number. So this is not good. Now let's try 2 and 12. 2 plus 12 is 14. 2 minus 12 is 10. So that's not what we want. We want a negative 5. Now we have 3 and 8. So 3 plus 8 is 11. 3 minus 8 is minus 5. That's what we want. So we will use this pair of factor to rewrite negative 5x. Okay, so let me copy what we have. So we have 2x 4x square minus 5x minus 6. So we are using 3 and 8. Okay, we are using 3 and 8 to rewrite negative 5x. So we have 2x 4x square. Now how can we rewrite negative 5x using 3 and 8 as a coefficient? So what is negative 5x equals to? Positive 3x minus 8x, right? So we are using these number 3 and 8. So positive 3x minus 8x minus 6. You have to rewrite your middle term using that pair of factor. Okay. Now, how many terms we have inside the parenthesis? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if we have a 4 terms, what do? We make a pair. Okay. So let's make a pair of first 2 terms and last 2 terms. So we have 2x. Now in the first 2 terms, do we have any common factor? What do we have as a common? We have x. So let's factor out x. And if you factor out x from 4x square, what is left? 4x squared divided by x, that is 4x, plus 3x divided by x is 3. Okay. Now in the last 2 pair, what do we have as a common factor? Minus 2, right? So the first term has a negative, so let's factor out a negative 2. So negative 8x divided by negative 2 is positive 4x. Negative 6 divided by negative 2 is positive 3. So we have 2x. Now we have this term and this term. We have like 2 expression, and in both of these expression, what do you have as a common? 4x plus 3 is common, right? So let's factor out 4x plus 3. So we have 4x plus 3 as a common, and write down the remaining x minus 2. And these is the factors for given trinomial. 2x times 4x plus 3 times x minus 2. Okay, so here